Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing fantastically well. We are back with a live, and yes, as you can see behind me, it's all about the Saudis taking over Newcastle. I wanted to do something on this, just basically sort of reverting back and turning it back to a Leeds United slant, really. As I say, I hope you're all doing fantastically well. But the discussion point in this video is the Newcastle backed investment going to sort of hamper Leeds United in a strange sort of way? Obviously, Andrea Radrizzani is discussing Europe. He's mentioned Europe this year as well. And how on earth is that going to affect Leeds United going forward? But first of all, I'd like to say, well done, Newcastle fans. I think as a collective, we all would love that sort of investment as a club. The sad thing about football now really is the David and Goliath aspect of football. Leicester winning the champion, the Premiership and all this sort of stuff, and clubs being able to do that and reach that feat. I think the way football's going now, there is barely any chance of that happening. We look at the Premier League now and the top four and how competitive it really is. I think this is the best Premier League. It's the best Premier League we've seen ever, in my personal opinion. I think the top four, as we've seen at Ellen Road this year, are just absolutely ruthless, and they are so good in terms of what they've got on the pitch and ultimately what they've got off the pitch, and how they're able to change that with wage structures and transfer budgets and off the pitch stuff and the like. So it's the whole structure of English football is going to change, and I think this is going to be the catalyst for it. I think the big thing to take away from it is there's a lot of people talking about Newcastle's net worth of 320 billion. That's from every aspect of the the consortium and the group's ownership and their assets and stuff like that. So that doesn't mean that there's going to be 320 billion invested into Newcastle or anything like that, guys. I just want to get that stipulation out. It seems like everybody seems to think that Newcastle are going to be spending billions in January and billions in summer, and we don't know what's going to happen, do we? We don't know how that landscape's going to change, but how it's going to affect Leeds United is going to be what I'm talking about in this video. But ultimately, Newcastle in 19th in the English Premier League, and Leeds United are 16th, and we're ultimately fighting it out with them, aren't we? That is the nooks and crannies of it. That's the obvious thing with regards to where Leeds are at this moment in time and where Newcastle are or were at this moment in time. So 3 places separates both teams. We've played each other once. I thought Leeds were by far the better team, to be honest with you. But is that all going to change in the near future, really? And yeah, first of all, I want to talk about the relatability factor. The relatability factor is something that we can all look at. I'm hearing Chelsea, I'm hearing Man City, I'm hearing Liverpool fans saying, "Oh, well, good for Newcastle, good for Newcastle." Yeah, I can understand. You can't understand. There is only one club, in my opinion, in English football who were at that level that Newcastle have been at, who've hit that downward trajectory and arguably hit it worse than Newcastle. In fact, no, we have hit it worse than Newcastle. It's Leeds United. So there's only one club who can relate in terms of position and where we got to. It is Leeds United. We thought there was light at the end of the tunnel when a consortium came in and took over Ken Bates. Ken Bates, who, I mean, on a different level in terms of investment into the side than Mike Ashley. I mean, at least Mike Ashley did that, invested into the side. Ken Bates was a complete mercenary and a stain on the club. And we had him for a fair number of years. And then we were sold on to GFH and another consortium who didn't have us in good hands again. And we were all really happy about that, to see the back of Ken Bates. And that didn't work in a good roundabout way for Leeds United at all. And Andrea Radrizzani was the light at the end of the tunnel. 16 years of hurt, 18, 20 years of mismanagement, financial oblivion was eventually cut out by Andrea Radrizzani and his group. And yeah, we're not billionaires or anything like that, but we've been able to recruit our club back. And that is where I can empathise with Newcastle fans. And there is that relatability factor with Leeds and Newcastle, one city club, both massive clubs with massive potential, and have both been mismanaged for years and years, and arguably, what Newcastle 14 years, Leeds nigh on sort of 16, 17 years. So getting out of the abyss and being brought back is something that is absolutely pivotal in football, because we're fans, we bleed the club, and especially as 2 northern clubs who let's be right, guys, we are completely indoctrinated and obsessed with our football clubs, that sometimes I think parts of the country, without any disrespect, aren't as invested as football as the North. I really do feel that. I really do feel that. I think it goes back decades, and it goes back, a long, long time. But anyway, I'm getting off piste. I think the relatability fact is definitely something that we can understand with Newcastle fans. Some Newcastle fans coming in here, best moment of my life, waiting all my life for this up the mags. And listen, as we all said, I'm not a Newcastle fan channel, but we all I really respect Newcastle as a football club, and I think we all respect Newcastle as a football club. It's going to be really interesting to see how this changes and what happens, the landscape of football, how this is all going to develop. And how I look at it as well is, before this, it was two sides with Newcastle and Leeds in completely different directions. Leeds United were on the up, or Leeds are on the up, in my personal opinion, in terms of where we were and where we are now. And Newcastle were one of those sides who, I'll be honest, you're looking at and you're thinking relegation. They're going to be one of the sides who are going to go down. There is just no sustainability, and it's actually quite staggering. Newcastle have been able to stay in the top flight when they've been so mismanaged for as long as they have, really. And that's a testament to, I don't know, the fans roaring them on, but then that's almost a discredit to other fans who roar the teams on when they're being financially mismanaged, like Leeds fans and Portsmouth fans and all this sort of stuff. I don't know how they've managed to sustain, because Newcastle have had a little bit of investment, but there's no doubt they've had a poor squad for years and years, but they've always managed to get out of it. I think they've had a couple of players here and there who've managed to actually get them out of the rough. I mean, more recently, Alan Saint-Maximin and Callum Wilson. But I feel like us and Newcastle, as I've said, are very similar, and the two sides are very similar in terms of league positioning as well at this moment in time. And you expect Leeds to pull away from Newcastle. You really do. And I think a lot of Newcastle fans would attest to that as well. Leeds on the pitch have an identity. We have an ethos. We have a philosophy at the club. We have a direction. We have a manager who sets out a blueprint for his players to follow and his staff to follow. And we're all in a cohesive unit. And that's when Newcastle fans are really going to see a difference and a change. It's not just about, and this is what I found when Radrizzani took over Leeds United, it's not about the millions and millions and millions you're going to spend, and we didn't have that, but we have spent money in renovating and the infrastructure of the club. But it is that what Newcastle fans are going to see as a huge differential. I can speak from a personal perspective. The under-23s at Leeds United now has been completely reinvented and reinvigorated into, for me, we'll put it this way: we slapped Liverpool away 4-0, and we are massively investing in our youth, which is only going to be beneficial for Leeds in years and years to come, even if it is selling players on, or even if it is these players getting through to the first team. And that's been a key difference. The training ground developments as well, which is huge for these young players to come and see and look around and think, yeah, I want to be at this place. The backroom staff is absolutely huge. You've noticed a huge difference in the social media. So what I will say is, it's not just about the millions and millions and millions that Newcastle fans could potentially see. It's not about all that transfer market stuff. It's about the little things that you might not take into consideration, which are huge parts of developing your football club, and that's definitely something that Newcastle fans are going to see. And I think as football fans alike, we can all turn around and say Newcastle fans definitely deserve that. They definitely deserve to be, in my opinion, the top half of the Premier League and really fighting for trophies, and like Leeds United do, massive custodians of the league and two huge football clubs. And Newcastle, for me, are they are one of those huge clubs. I grew up in the 90s, so I understand what that is. But it's going to be fascinating to see whether or not how this develops with Newcastle, if they're going to be taking up the upper echelon of the Premier League. Are they going to be also taking that fourth spot, that Champions League, that fourth spot, and a European spot? And I think we'll get into that in just a little second. So two sides in different directions, but I don't think so anymore. And this is what I wanted to talk about earlier in terms of what Newcastle fans can expect and what we've gone through as Leeds fans in terms of relatability. Off the field stuff for me is nigh on as important as on the field, because off the field impacts on the field, and Newcastle fans have seen that. Leeds fans, we thought that for years. We were so disengaged with what we saw on the pitch. There was a lot of hate, there was a lot of nastiness around Ellen Road, and you know, it wasn't a nice place. It was not a nice place to go. And when our new owner came in, he changed that. Public relations became a thing for him, the relationship with the fans, and that was sort of, well, that was completely amplified when Leeds got promoted. And these people are going to be lauded. You know, these people are going to be lauded for years and years to come. And you will see that if these people come in and make a huge difference. Now, the interesting thing is it's going to be the landscape of the Premier League. The landscape of the Premier League is going to be interesting because these guys are worth a hell of a lot of money. Now, let me just read out a segment here. A Saudi Arabia finance consortium's bid for the Tyneside club is expected to go through following the reversal of the ban of BN Sport, which we knew earlier on in the Gulf nation. Public Investment Fund, the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Saudi Arabia, and the British business people Amanda Staveley, David and Simon Rubin were behind a bid to take over Newcastle in 2020. However, the takeover was ultimately blocked by the Premier League and left fans hoping for an array of legal cases would ultimately see progress in the long term. This takeover will change the landscape of the Premier League, not just for Newcastle, but the rivals, especially in the long term, as they increase revenue to offset the major transfer fees sure to follow in the coming years. And this is going to be the next bracket, you know, the next bracket of Premier League teams where Leeds are trying to get into the top four. And then there's the next bracket. Are Leeds going to be able to get into this next bracket in the next 3 or 4 years? It seems like there's been so much more money spent this season as well. And now Newcastle are coming into the picture. Is this going to affect Leeds, you know, with our ambitions of getting, I mean, let's be right, guys, with where we are now, the ultimate aim is to stay in the division, but the long-term ambitions, football is becoming such a difficult game to get to that upper echelon of, which I keep mentioning, because of money. Do you now have to be taken over by a multi-billionaire to be able to do anything? You know, is the disparity in football now so huge between the likes of Norwich's and potentially now a Newcastle that you have to be taken over by a multi-billionaire to be able to even compete? As David Goliath in football died, will there ever be a Leicester winning the Premier League again? As I mentioned at the start, it's looking more and more unlikely. And as I mentioned at the start as well, the Premier League is so globalized now, and the money is so huge in the Premier League now that it's becoming more and more difficult for any other club, including my club, Leeds United, to think to ourselves, yeah, we can win a cup competition, because there are so many clubs with so much money in for these prizes. Keep getting your comments in, guys. I can hear a lot of you talking. Money talks, guys. Daniel says unbelievable. Top for next season for Newcastle. 49ers are worth 4.15 billion. And Andy, just to put that into context, these are 49ers who are in partnership with Leeds United, of course. You know, part of the Andrea Radrizzani sort of relationship with Leeds, if you will. 4.175 billion is what the 49ers are worth. I mean, Newcastle's, it's looking like their net worth is 320 billion now. So this is what I'm talking about, the gap in the club's wealth, even in the Premier League now. And we've always known that. We're not naive, but it seems to be getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And are we thinking it's realistic that Leeds are really going to be challenging for Europe in 3 years? Or are things like this going to keep happening? Not in terms of this sort of thing, in terms of the wealth and the money that Newcastle are now going to have, but these sort of investments where you have to be putting down markers of 80 to 110 to 120 million every summer. Is that going to have to be the metric for clubs like Leeds United to be even getting into the top 6, 7? You know, I mean, we finished 9th, didn't we, last season, which was an amazing achievement, but I'm talking European places. This is where it's going to be fascinating to see, really. Newcastle's new owners are worth more than all of the others combined. Yeah, 100%. Evening Connor says, Gordon, so pleased for Newcastle. We totally understand that this comes with hope for the fan base. Exactly, Gordon. It's a really good point, and I think that's where you've got to. I understand that there's a lot of people who are against this in terms of, obviously, there's the human rights issue with the new Newcastle owners. There's the fact that the likelihood is they're going to spend a lot of money now, but you've got to look at the fans, and the Newcastle fans have been through turmoil as the Leeds United fans went through turmoil. And that's why I wanted to make this video, because it did sort of strike a chord with me. And when you get in with that, without disrespect, Chelsea fans, Liverpool, Man City, Man United fans saying, I understand what they're talking about, it's great for Newcastle. They don't understand. They don't get it. They don't get it at all. I think that's why it's important that clubs like Leeds United make videos like this. But this is not to say that Leeds United don't have money. We do have money, and we have a great backing in the San Francisco 49ers, and you know, we've got Lowy as well, haven't we, the Australian backer. So there's a lot going on at Leeds United, and the way is up for Leeds United, but this is consolidation this year, and it's going to be the same with Newcastle. Newcastle are going to have to consolidate as well. You know, the 19th. There's going to probably be investment in January. You would presume there's going to be a new manager. So once again, does that take Newcastle out of the relegation places and you know, into the upper trajectory of the Premier League, which if Leeds are just going to consolidate, that means that there's going to be an impact on Leeds United, doesn't it? Because if, let's say, hypothetically, I'm not saying we are, but if we are in a relegation battle, then are Newcastle going to be in a similar battle? Or they're going to get rid of Bruce and get Pochettino in and going to be making moves in January? It's not going to be a quick process. It's not going to be an instantaneous process at all. You know, that's not how football works. But it's going to be fascinating to see how this unravels. Jay Smith says, if Rad wants to buy another club, he wants a club that's competing in Europe. There is a problem if we get Europe, because he isn't allowed to have two clubs that play in Europe. Yeah, Jay Smith essentially saying that, you know, if Radrizzani was to acquire a new club, which has been spoken about, AC Milan, Inter Milan, there's several other Italian clubs actually that apparently he was looking to take over. If this does become a thing, then is this going to impact Leeds United? The likelihood is yeah. JM34 says the amount of glory hunters Newcastle will have now, though. It's true, JM, but you know, it happens to every club, doesn't it, mate? You look at Man City now. Where were Man City as a football club? Where were they? You know, in what, 2003, 2004? You know, they're in Division 1 in 1999, weren't they? So. Mark Jones, do you think Leeds will have a big investment in the near future, Connor? Mark, it's a really fascinating conversation, mate, because if we are to make and if we are to hope, and this is it's sad. I was talking to Mickey P. Kerr on this, and Mickey will be coming on the channel as well. He's been doing some good stuff and talking about the politics in football and how football is changing, the landscape of football. And me and Mickey have been speaking a lot, and he will be coming on the channel really soon. This is where it's going to be fascinating to see what happens now, because are we going to be able to compete for these European places? If that, you know, obviously after consolidation, are we going to be able to do that ever? With the amount of money that we have right at this moment in time and the investment we have at this moment in time, because Newcastle right now have blown the landscape up. And will this have a ripple effect and continue to keep happening? You know, if Saudi owners are coming in and taking over clubs, and other, you know, other billionaire Americans are coming in and taking over clubs, which, let's be right, guys, this has been happening more and more and more and more over the past 5, 6, 7 years. So yeah, it's definitely a fascinating conversation to have. We're in a good place at the moment, says David Gillespie. Yeah, good luck to Newcastle. Congrats to Newcastle fans. I would completely agree with you, mate. And that's why it's great for Newcastle fans at this moment in time. Easy lad. How long has this been on? Phil, hope you're all right, mate. Yeah, it's been on for about 20 minutes, I think, mate. Daniel Hibbert says, do you think Leeds will be as big as Newcastle now? Just when I said Newcastle was getting relegated, and now I think January would be interesting for the Toon. Yeah. And this is it, isn't it, Daniel? It's one of those things where if you are of the mindset of Leeds are in a relegation battle, which I'm not, but if you are in that mindset and Newcastle are now on this upward trajectory, this naturally has a causal effect on Leeds, doesn't it? But yeah, I mean, I always think Leeds have been as big as Newcastle. I think we're very, very similar clubs, very similar fan bases, passionate. You know, let's be right, guys. Leeds United would go on League One away days and bring 6,000, you know, down to, you know, we could be bringing 6,000 down to Bristol City or, you know, wherever on a Tuesday night. Leeds are one city club as well, and you know, let's be right. Our stadium is going to get increased, and we're going to be able to fill out the majority of that stadium, if not all of that stadium. We have a huge, passionate fan base, and Leeds and Newcastle are very, very similar clubs. And yeah, congratulations, of course, that they've been. You know, it's the golden ticket, isn't it? It is the golden ticket. Ian says, doesn't matter how much you spend, you need to create a team, and our manager has done that. They're exciting to watch. Even non-Leeds supporters admit that, despite some disappointing results. And that's a bit of, yeah, of course. I think Ian's completely right. I think, you know, what we've built right now is it's sustainability and it's quality as well in what we've done in such a short space of time. And that's great to see. And that's what Newcastle fans will be expecting this guy to do. A lot of Newcastle fans will just be, you know, looking at the short term and you know, building, as I said, relations with the supporters, which is absolutely huge in football, and what we've managed to do with our owner very, very quickly. So it's, yeah, as I say, the watch is going to be good, but it's that next bracket for me. You know, when we finish ninth, Leeds very early on in the season. Right now, you know, ninth, we finished ninth, and you know, we've only played 7 games so far. But the Arsenal, the Villa, the Everton are the bracket below, really, aren't they? The top 4, 5. And if Leeds are to break into that bracket, you know, you look at even those clubs, Everton, massively backed by Mashiri, huge ownership, money, a lot of money at Everton. Aston Villa making roads as well. There's a lot of people just talking about, you know, that Grealish money, giving them the ability to be able to do these things and do these financial packages. If you actually look at Aston Villa's owners, they are multi, I think, billionaires. They're worth a lot of money. And then you look at, obviously, Arsenal, you know, backed by Stan Kroenke. I think he's the 7th most wealthiest football owner in the world. So it's just fascinating when you look at maybe some of Radrazani's comments and about Leeds getting Europe, and you think to that next level, maybe San Francisco 49 is going to be backing Leeds hugely in the summer, and I do think we'll go big in the summer. To be honest with you guys, I think we're going to go big in the summer, but it's going to be really interesting to see how Radrazani sees Leeds breaking into that sort of top 7, because it's there's so much money in it now. It can't just be based on Bielsa ball. It can't. If it's sustainable as well, it can't just be based on Bielsa ball. There's got to be cash put on the table and cash invested into that playing squad. You know, that's how it's got to be. It can't just be 2 losses here, 2 wins there. You know, so I think Leeds will do really well this season. I think we'll have a fantastic finish. But breaking consistently into that top 7, I think it's going to be really, really difficult. And the Newcastle news obviously makes that more difficult if they are to do that within the next 1 or 2 years. Let's have a look at some of your comments. What do you think the chances are of Rafinha or Calvin going to Newcastle? None, mate. None. And do you know what? I think the price tag now, I think this is going to be another thing as well. Newcastle are going to get priced as well now. You know, we saw that with City. We saw that with Chelsea. When clubs know that you've got money, that transfer value goes up. That market value goes up 100%. So that, you know, that's why you always get Manchester United tax when they bring in players like Wan-Bissaka and Fred. You know, you always get that tax. And now Newcastle are going to have tax on every single player that they go for. So if Newcastle were to go for Calvin Phillips, this is all hypothetical and bizarre that we're even talking about this. Who'd have thought we'd have been talking about this a week ago? If they were to go for Calvin Phillips, if they were to go for Rafinha, it would be top dollar Leeds would ask for. You know, we've got a lot of smart businessmen down at Leeds now, which is what Newcastle would want at their you know, behind the scenes with them now. And Leeds are a well-run club, a really, really well-run club. And obviously that's the comparatives. And that's why I'm doing this, because where we were is where Newcastle could be in terms of off the pitch. But I mean, on the pitch, they're going to be miles ahead, aren't they? And that's something that we're probably going to have to get used to in a weird sort of way. Imran says, "Hi Con, they might as well go join the other 6 in the Super League. The rest of us just can't compete for those UEFA spots." And that's it, Imran, isn't it? It's those next spots, isn't it, mate? And how on earth Leeds United are going to do that with these big boys in there now? And Newcastle have always been a big boy, but flipping heck, it's gonna be difficult, isn't it? If they're bringing in, you know, I don't know who can they bring in? Haaland and Mbappe? No, I think that's slightly unlikely. John H saying Villa are the 5th richest in the league as well. People just seem to be, not thinking that Villa have money. Villa have a lot of money. Villa have a lot of money, so it's going to be fascinating to see. But I'm very, very happy with how Leeds have been run at this moment in time, and I think it's going to be fascinating to see how Newcastle are going to develop in terms of that. But what else have we got to talk about today? As I say, the big thing is it's going to be the increased globalization in the wage structure, which is what we saw at Leeds. Leeds were able to go from a minuscule amount in the Championship. We then got up to the Premier League. Obviously, bonuses went up, but then wage structures went up and all this sort of stuff. And that's what Newcastle are going to see. As soon as you increase your wage structure, that's when things start to happen. Players start to get attracted. Players come in, big contracts, this, that, and the other. Other players start seeing that. Agents start seeing that, demanding a higher fee. And Newcastle become a very attractive proposition. And the increased globalization, it sounds like what Newcastle are going to be doing is expanding globally, which is once again what Leeds United are going to be trying to do. So that's what I'm really curious to see happens, guys. Listen, we've got a video coming out for you either tomorrow or on Saturday. I hope you've enjoyed this. It's just a little bit of a natter about Newcastle. I don't know how long I've been waffling on for, probably quite a while, as per usual. Leave a like on the video if you've enjoyed it. Let me know exactly what you think. Geordie's in here, Leeds fans in here. Let me know similarities between the club. Would you like something similar to happen to Leeds United, or are you happy with where we are now and happy with how we're building as a club? Let me know in the comment section below, guys. Have a good one, and I'll see you in a bit. Cheers.